Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's great to be here. We are ready for listening to this amazing thing called BitCountry Metaverse. That's what we're here today about. We're going to learn about what is it and how does it work. So sit back, buckle up, and we're going to be able to tell you, well, Shannon is, a bit about what it is and how it works. So today on the panel, we have Shannon Christie, who is a CTO of BitCountry. Welcome, Shannon.
Yeah, thanks for that, Karla. Good to be here. Look forward to sharing a little bit more about Metaverse, a bit of a background and things like that. Back to you, Karla.
Fantastic. And we have the lovely Gardi Rigby. Now, Gardi is the business developer partnership manager. There's a bit of a mouthful, Gardi, isn't it?
It is. Hi, nice to be here. Such a pleasure to be here and to talk about this fascinating thing called Metaverse. Can't wait to share it with you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Gardi. So, everyone, let's kick it off. Shannon, over to you. Take it away.
All right, cool. Thanks for that, Karla. All right, yeah, so good to see everyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about the Metaverse, a little bit about BitCountry, kind of what our vision, our goal is, and things like that. So I think it's important to start a little bit with some of the background or some of the history that leads up to what exactly is Metaverse, what are the kind of goals for the future to achieve with the Metaverse, and kind of what we're doing on the BitCountry side. So I would imagine that quite a lot of you will be familiar with quite a few different terms, but just in case, I want to briefly touch on something. So when we think of Metaverse, it's actually quite an old idea. In that regard, actually, how about I jump into my slides? Because I've already got some things prepared a little bit there.
Sounds
so just
good.
A moment. Okay, let me just get this up and running in the correct one rather than the wrong one. All right, you should be looking at my slides now. Cool. Yeah, so I will be talking a little bit more about the Metaverse and kind of the background and things like that. Of course, first of all, BitCountry is a network for user-created metaverses and games. We have quite a lot of strong backers behind us, from big people in the East and big people in the West, a leading blockchain-based game fund as well, like America Brands. And yeah, so a little bit of a background on myself. So I am co-founder and CTO, focusing on kind of the game aspect of BitCountry. I'm also technology manager at MVP Studio, advisor for the Metaverse Career Academy, and also the Substrate Runtime Developer Academy. And I've actually been involved in technology from a pretty early age, with building computers from about 8, websites at about 10, and getting really into game development and such from about 14 onward. During that time, I got experience with quite a lot of different game engines and things like that. So it's really exciting to be able to work on a project like BitCountry to help bring the Metaverse to life, to help make it so it's something that you can experience easily on kind of any device. So as I was kind of leading into, what exactly is the Metaverse? What are the key aspects? What's a bit of the history behind it and things like that? So as I said earlier, the Metaverse is a bit of an old idea. You could really keep it short and think that it's really the blending of virtual and real. So we're already pretty familiar with VR, or virtual reality, I would say. That's something that you see quite a lot these days from different people producing VR headsets. It's a way for you to be able to kind of jump into and experience a virtual world. One key aspect there, of course, is that you more or less lose the real part of the world around you. When you put on your VR headset, you kind of can't really see anything else outside for the most part. So then we can start to look at things like augmented reality, or AR. So I'm sure that some of you would have seen on your mobile phones that there's already more functionality being added there by Apple and by Google with Android to do AR. It's even used by some big games, for example. So in that case, you would point your phone at something. It would use the camera to record the world as you see it, and potentially put 3D models as if they were actually there. Of course, in that regard, you can only see the experience through your phone screen, but that's, of course, getting closer to blending that virtual and real. So that gives you a little bit of a background on VR and AR. metaverse is much more towards kind of the AR aspect. So some people would actually say that we're already kind of a little bit in the metaverse. We already have things like, it's quite a connected society these days, and world with internet. People are involved in social media and games and things like that. You can already see that there's a lot of this activities that you're doing online, kind of in a virtual space that kind of connect with the real world. So that's already kind of part of it. From kind of my perspective, the key aspects are, of course, the blend of virtual and real. So essentially things are connected together, that they should more or less relate to each other, or at least have some degree of connection, that it should really be multiplayer, so online, so that other people can see you inside of this metaverse and you can see other players. It's not necessarily just a single player experiencing the whole thing by themselves. I think that it should be persistent, that there should be some ongoing changes and things that happen, so you can actually have growth or changes as time goes by. And also in our particular case, we feel that economy is quite important. And that's one of the ways that the metaverse can have an effect on the real world, that the things that you do in metaverse, in this seemingly virtual area or universe in a way, can actually have an effect on the real world, that you could do something there that could earn you some value. It could actually be turned into fiat currency. It could be your United States dollar or something like that, that you could do something in the world, earn something, trade it, sell it, create art pieces, whatever the case may be, convert it into value that you can use to pay for food, to pay for your rent, or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of a little bit of an idea, a little bit of a background, I think, on metaverse. And I think it would be good to maybe talk into that a little bit further about what is needed to make the metaverse real. How can we kind of achieve it and things like that. So first of all, I guess we can use BitCountry itself as a little bit of an example of kind of what can we do now, because I will say that the technology isn't completely there yet to be able to achieve exactly the final vision of the metaverse. At that stage, we'd potentially need things like Neuralink, maybe VR headset that can be done with contact lenses or something like that, where you would be able to see the world around you and this virtual world at all times, essentially. It would be like how they have holograms and holographic displays these days, but rather than having to have one designated area for a hologram, it could be anywhere, because it's more about from your perspective than anything else. So like I said, kind of what about BitCountry? How does that kind of fit into this picture from this perspective of metaverse and things? So if I just quickly close this down and share another tab with you all so that you can see the BitCountry page. Just a moment. Yeah, so this is BitCountry homepage as it is at the moment. Again, you can see that the focus is about being a platform for being able to create your own metaverse, and also for metaverse-based games, essentially. So I would definitely recommend that you jump into this, learn a little bit more about some of the different concepts inside of BitCountry. For example, one of the big ones, as you can even see here, is the Continuum, which is something that I can share a little bit about maybe later on, or maybe Gardi can share a bit about it. But yeah, so with BitCountry, BitCountry is actually a decentralized or blockchain-based project. So you can see this mention of EVM compatible here. So that's talking about being compatible with Ethereum, one of the largest smart contract platforms, of blockchain one. And a lot of people should be fairly familiar with it. A way for users to create their own content, their own code that can execute on the blockchain, which definitely gives them some power and some interesting qualities, and also the reason why we decided to go for blockchain as well with BitCountry. So with BitCountry, as I mentioned earlier, we felt that metaverse is about economy. So there are already some existing projects that might be argued as metaverse, that have some degree of economy to them. Maybe people can create their own experiences and they can charge money for it. But usually the value transfer goes mainly to the company that created the platform or created the experience, rather than to the person that made the game or made the 3D model, for example. So with us, we chose blockchain because, one, it helps us to achieve one of the key aspects for us in our mind, which is the value, this open economy where what you do inside the world can be transferred in and out from it, that you could potentially create your 3D model, that you could create this game within the metaverse and be able to trade it and get value out and pay for things in the real world. So we ended up choosing Polkadot for this in this particular case, because we felt that Polkadot gave us a lot of power in terms of being able to create the platform and the infrastructure that we needed to be able to enable this kind of experience for the users. So for example, you can see here that when it comes to building your metaverse, that we support people at kind of multiple levels. It could be smaller users, maybe you're just getting involved in the project and doing things in the world that potentially like play to earn. That's kind of a common and popular phrase at the moment, where you could be doing activities in the world that could be earning you real value. People who want to create these worlds, so metaverse builders, you'd be creating or sculpting this world for other people to get into, and those services could be quite valuable for many people. Metaverse projects, maybe you're creating your own complete experience that has its own style, and that's something you can really take advantage of the BitCountry kind of application and framework and API to be able to achieve that. But if you are maybe a little bit lower level and you're more like an ecosystem project, you're able to take advantage of, like I said, that infrastructure that we've built with Polkadot, with Substrate, so the metaverse network essentially. So with choosing Polkadot and Substrate, why did we not choose something like Ethereum instead? For us, we felt it was something that really supported the interoperability as kind of a first-hand or intended design goal for the project. Ethereum does have the ability to bridge and do some of those connections, but it's much more of a tacked-on experience. A lot of the users have to create potentially something that you have to trust the user who made it. It's not necessarily trustless to make this bridge, which is more or less like a centralized system that allows you to connect two different blockchains together. With Polkadot, at least in terms of parachains and things like that, we're able to trustlessly communicate between different networks. So if someone else was creating their own parachain on Polkadot and they connected it as a parachain, I should also add, then potentially we're able to transfer assets from one to the other without necessarily having to have any people in between as like a central authority or anything like that. So that's one of the great parts about why we chose Polkadot and why we chose Substrate to build our blockchain for BitCountry. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through these parts. You can definitely check out the site yourself to go through in a bit more detail. But yeah, so that's part of the reason why we ended up choosing Substrate, which is from Parity and related to Polkadot. It has that kind of ability to interrupt with Polkadot very easily. And it still actually has compatibility and the ability to bridge with Ethereum and other blockchains as well. So that was still one of the key aspects that made us comfortable with choosing it. But yeah, I think hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea on BitCountry, kind of what we're trying to achieve with it, and in terms of the blockchain and why we chose blockchain, why Polkadot, and why Substrate and things like that. But how about I just quickly change what I'm sharing once again so that I can share with you a video about the impression of kind of what we want to achieve with BitCountry. I will say that these are, of course, impression videos. In terms of the actual experience, I can go into a little bit more detail in terms of what you'll experience in more recent times rather than a little bit further along in the roadmap. So let me just get this ready first. Okay, so that should be visible on the screen. You should be able to hear the audio as well. So let me just play this and let you listen to it. Sorry, let me just stop that. Yeah, so that gives you a little bit of an idea about some of the core aspects of BitCountry. Gives you a slight glimpse into the world as well. Maybe in a bit I can show you a little bit more about another impression of what it's like, especially with regard to the Continuum, which is a key feature that we developed for us as well. Another reason why we decided to go for substrate rather than, for example, smart contracts. We feel that it's easier to implement the infrastructure that we need. Yeah, so I guess quickly touching on it. Sorry, Karla, I'll give it back to you in just a moment. With
it's fine,
BitCountry.
Shannon.
We love listening to it.
With BitCountry, of course, at this stage, we're not necessarily having to say that, oh, you have to experience it in VR, that it has to be AR or anything like that. At this stage, it will be experienced through more of a traditional web interface at this stage. So it would be kind of a 3D world inside of the browser. So you could picture a little bit similar to some of the games that you can play in your browser these days. So that's something that we're working on, and that's about making it as accessible and as easy to access for as many people as possible. So you can access it on your mobile, you access it on your desktop, and pretty much anywhere that you can open up a browser and get into it. It is on the roadmap, and it is something that we're looking at in terms of enabling VR as well. But I just wanted to mention that BitCountry isn't necessarily just this VR augmented reality only experience. That's something that still needs technology to develop further before we can really go for that full vision. But we can at least achieve the part that we think is important right now, this blending of real and virtual, this ability to transfer value as the important and key part, I think, the value from BitCountry out so you can transfer it, so you can sell it on a marketplace and all these different kinds of things. Yes, I think I've been talking for quite a while now. Maybe Karla?
That was great. That's fantastic. You can start to see the potential behind what this is, and my mind kind of like starts expanding. And you know that, Shannon, when these guys start talking like that, and I have all these things, I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like a new way. It's going to be a new way of doing business, creating, earning. There's so many things that this platform is going to be able to handle, to be able to do on, it's like you said, it's like an overlay of reality, but it's amazing. I really, really, really love it. It's really cool.
Karla, and if I can say one thing, I mean, in the future, we won't even be here on the internet. You don't have to actually get on the internet. You'll be in it, So instead of meeting up on like this, we could be together in the metaverse, you could meet up from anywhere. And it's a place for people to work, to socialize, to play, to have fun, and also I think it's a great way for communities to interact. You can visit different lands, you can experience things. It's such an immersive world. It's just taking what we've got now and just, if you've seen any of those sci-fi movies, I don't want to name them all, but you know which ones I'm talking about. That is here, it's exciting.
It is. It's a bit like Matrix as well. I just thought I'd just say that, everyone. Because it's two different worlds, but they're overlapping, So I think this is amazing. It's fantastic. I love it. Absolutely love it.
I just want to.
Yes, Gardi.
I just wanted to say, I just want to mention, our backers and investors who do make it possible. If I could jump in here and just do some shameless name dropping, but I think, there's no particular order and there's a massive list. I'm not going to be able to go into all of them because I know time is going way too fast, but we're backed by the Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator. And I think there were 230 teams or so that vied for a spot and only a fraction of them that made it. And we are one of them. So that is such a feat.
Awesome.
In New Zealand, we're backed by the Callahan Innovation. So that's also is quite a feat as well. And then just to mention some of our investors and backers, we've got Animoca Brands, who are, I think, the unicorn of the blockchain gaming world, as well as Walsh Wealth Ventures as well. So, and of course, I can't forget about Hypersphere, Ventures. So we really are backed by titans, and they're making this all possible. And it is just, if you can dream it, you can achieve it in the metaverse. And, I just want to say, the metaverse is the key concept for us, but now this is for everyone watching there. Now this is your time. This is your opportunity to join us and create your own metaverse and show us what it can be. So I look forward to that. But can I show you a slide before I?
Yes, go. I'm just going to hand it over to you, Gardi. Just go and go into your slides and share with everyone, what your part in this incredible platform is.
Awesome. As you can see, we're so passionate, Shannon and I. We can talk forever. I hope you can see my slide there.
Yes.
I think for just a key thing is for anyone watching, if they're interested in any partnership opportunities, my email is at the top and it will be available as well at the end. Do contact me. But let me just talk a little bit about what I do and my role here with BitCountry. My main role is to set up our partnerships and to really grow our business within the Polkadot ecosystem. It's something we're very proud of, and I think as a community, we are working to just benefit each other. So how do we do that? So with BitCountry, we'll enable everyone to start their own metaverse, and as you can see, you'll have a 3D world with digital real estate, user-created games, NFTs, and play-to-earn mining opportunities. And just an example of this is imagine in your world, if you're in your world and it's busy with all your followers, you can put a big billboard up and it will probably get more traction and be worth more than a billboard in New York, in the hub of it all. This will be the new place to be. And there'll also be limited land blocks. That's another thing. There'll be limited land blocks to start your universe. And what you can do once you have a land block is you can subdivide it into smaller units and build it up. So we, you can get content from really experienced contributors. But something I also want to mention is we've launched, and I think this is really such a key feature as well, is our very first Metaverse Career Academy. So that is almost like an incubator for professionals in the Metaverse ecosystem. So you'll have people that attend the Metaverse Academy, Career Academy, who are able to help us grow and build this Metaverse and just, create the new virtual space to be in. So that's very exciting. So that is it for me. But I just want to invite everyone that's listening to go check out our website, go to BitCountry, go have a look. There's so much going on. And just really immerse yourself in that world because the future is here. Thanks so much.
Exactly. So wonderful. I love it. So everyone, you get the kind of gist of everything now, right? And I have popped in the comments there, the BitCountry website, also Metaverse Career Academy and Gardi's email as well. So you'll get an email after this as well with her details, etc. So don't worry if you haven't got it just yet. So we're going to open up the floor now to questions. Like I said, ask a question in the tab. If you see other questions that are similar or the same, just don't worry about asking the same again. That'll be great. So I don't have to scroll through them. Okay. So we have got one question here. When crowd loan for BitCountry Pioneer from Crypto Chat.
Yeah. Cool. All right, thanks for the question. I'll jump into that one. So thanks, Crypto Chat, and for the person that upvoted it. So in terms of the crowd loan, we're aiming for the next batch of auctions for the parachains and such. So the fourth batch, if I am not getting horribly confused at the moment, that's the goal for us to start looking at the crowd loan for BitCountry Pioneer. So definitely, as usual, check out Twitter. Make sure you follow along so you can stay up to date with everything that's happening. If there's any updates, it'll definitely be shared there. Cool. I guess maybe I can go straight for another one.
Oh,
yes. So we've got BitCountry will give people to try for Testnet before real use.
Okay. Yep. Cool. Thanks. 7K.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get to your question in the chat, crypto chat, in a bit. Or maybe one of the team will be able to help out with that one while I answer this one. Yeah, so 7K, thanks for the question. BitCountry will give people to try for testnet before real use. Yeah, the goal is still to get that out in the fourth quarter or first quarter or so of next year for the testnet. So we're still working away on that so that people can try it out. Of course, if you've been getting involved in the testnet faucet and things like that, you'll be able to take advantage of all that testnet Noom that you've got inside of the testnet, so you can kind of try it out. So that's all coming along. But again, if you want to make sure you stay up to date with everything that's happening, all the up-to-date news will be on Twitter and in the appropriate groups on Telegram and stuff like that. Yeah, cool.
Can I mention something as well?
Yep, go for it.
Awesome. I'll put the Twitter handle in there too as well, so everyone can.
Yeah.
Awesome. Because there is really
that?
so much to cover. There's so much to cover. What we will be doing is we will be having regular webinars, with educationals to keep you up to date. So I think we will be looking, at the, Kusama, Parachains, crowd loans.
We're doing all of that. There's going to be several webinar crowdcast events like this, everyone. So keep an eye out. Like Shannon said, just jump on the Twitter, keep an eye on Twitter and every other platform that BitCountry is on, because we will be releasing those webinar that BitCountry Metaverse stuff all there to jump on the crowdcast webinars. We're looking at having it every Thursday, so keep that in mind as well. Okay. Next question we have here. Okay, let's have a look. Sounds super sick so far. Awesome. So is the game engine built from the ground up, or is it based off another engine? That's from Match.
Yep. All right, cool. Thanks for that, Match. Yeah, so we're basing it off of another game engine. It's quite a popular open source one. It's, oh, Karla disappeared. It's based off a popular game engine that does WebGL and things like that. At this stage, the important part for us is to make sure that we can focus our time developing the unique and interesting features rather than necessarily spending too much time developing everything from scratch. And then we can kind of keep working and improving as time goes by. So yeah, if you check around for popular WebGL engine, I'm sure you'll come across the one that we're using. But yeah, at this stage, we're going for that rather than building everything up from the beginning.
Okay, we've got another question. Where is it?
Sorry, guys.
Hi, welcome.
I'll jump back on. I'm just disappearing. Sorry about that. Okay, we've got another question here. Quite a few. Let's have a look. Okay, I've done that. With blockchain, we create the metaverse world without limitations, and the metaverse space will expand indefinitely. Is there any problem that can happen from the infinite expansion of metaverse space?
Okay, all right, yep, cool. Thanks for the question, Inyon Kang. Hopefully I have that pronunciation correct. I'm sorry if I got horribly wrong. Yeah, so in terms of that is actually an interesting question that you bring up. And it was something that I kind of wanted to cover a little bit as well. Related to blockchain, related about BitCountry, related about metaverse value, all sorts of things there. One part of it is for BitCountry, for our platform, we actually want to have a limited supply of the land. We don't necessarily want to just keep growing forever. That doesn't mean that there may not be the possibility of growing it at some stage, but for now, the idea is to keep it limited. And you might say, well, if it's virtual, why do we need to have any limitations? One thing that's very well understood by people is supply and demand. That's how value can come about. So having digital scarcity and things like that, that's something that's actually really quite valuable to everyone involved. It's a way of, one, managing resources to make sure that there aren't too many resources taken up by things. It's also a way to ensure that everyone feels like they're getting the value they deserve, and it helps to create the economy and everything else as well. So In this particular case, we would actually be limiting it. I'm sure there will be many projects getting involved in the metaverse space. It's meant to really just be like this connection or a continuum, but not necessarily the continuum is BitCountry, a different continuum of all these different metaverse projects, and they all kind of lead from one into the other. So there'll be a lot of people getting into the space, and there's lots of room for people to get in. I think as long as everyone feels there's value and there's that demand, then I think everything should be all right. I don't think there has to be any issues in terms of infinite growth and stuff like that. Yeah, cool. I see that everyone is putting stuff in the chat as well. Thanks for jumping in and explaining.
Another question we have from Jake. Can you explain further how land will be auctioned off and the process for that? Okay, all right. So that's one that we will probably go into more detail as we get closer to releasing it out for everyone, without necessarily going into too much detail. I can maybe share that there are thoughts of a way that people can get some land a little bit earlier. That's something that I probably won't mention too much details at this stage, but definitely pay attention that there may be a possibility of getting some land a little bit earlier that might be coming up kind of in the next few weeks or months or something like that. But again, if you keep an eye on Twitter, you'll be able to find out all those details. There will also be a form that will be probably sent out, or that you'll be able to see from the recording, where you'll be able to check out some things. So if you want to learn a bit more about the Metaverse Career Academy, if you want to learn a little bit more about the potential land sale coming up in terms of starting your own metaverse, and also about partnership opportunities. Yeah, so cool. I think that should be quite good. I see we've got quite a lot of questions coming in. Yes, we've got a couple. What are the requirements for operating a community on BitCountry? Fees? Okay, yep. Cool. So in terms of operating, in terms of like ongoing fees or anything like that, like do you have to pay a monthly subscription or something like that? That is not in our plan for anything at this stage. There might be something that comes up later on, but the idea overall is that any cost that might be involved with creating your own metaverse or community, it will be more involved with the initial purchase of land and maybe purchasing those kind of services and things that you want to deal with, rather than necessarily that you have to keep paying this ongoing fee to us or anything. I think that's actually quite a good question to kind of lead into. It looks like your second question. Yes, the second question. Is it ownership permanent or based on community activity? Okay, all right. I will try to interpret that question, because I feel like there's a few different ways to interpret it. Yes. In terms of ownership, again, that comes back to blockchain. So thanks for asking it, because I did want to touch on this a little bit more. Another key part why we chose blockchain, why we chose decentralization, is to ensure ownership. One part of it, of course, is value, as I mentioned. Value is about whether you have the ability to trade something. If you don't have full rights over it, for example, with maybe another platform, you could have this nice cosmetic or skin in the game. If they decide to shut down, then even though you owned it, it means nothing. Their service is gone. That's the end of it. With blockchain, it keeps going. It's perpetual. That's one. Yeah, that's the persistence that I mentioned earlier as kind of like a key aspect of Metaverse. And also, I didn't really touch on it quite, but it's also the ownership part. Your ownership is yours to control. And blockchain makes sure that no one can really mess with that, as long as you're the only one that possesses your private key, and you should do your best to protect it, of course, that you're the only one that has any say on whether you trade it or sell it or anything like that. And I guess in terms of community activity, people as part of blockchain as well, it's more or less about open economy. It's about making sure that BitCountry is owned by the users, essentially. When you get involved in the project, when you are earning the token new, that's giving you a power and ownership and say how the platform works. If we disappear, if something happens to us in the future, media hits us all, BitCountry actually keeps going. The blockchain is run by everyone around the world. That part keeps going. You're able to basically keep everything going even after we're long gone. That's one of the beauties about blockchain as well. You can confirm your ownership. You have say how it works. You can have more control over how the platform works. It's not closed. It's not behind closed doors or anything like that. And that's something that we feel is quite important as well, about really helping adoption and bringing Metaverse to life. Fantastic. That's awesome. We did have one question. You kind of like answered it slightly. So Corey's asking the BitCountry community, is there a token and that's Noom? And if so, what is it, Noom? And how, when is it available for purchase?
Okay, all right, yep, thanks for that, Corey. So I guess potentially that question could still be interpreted in a few different ways. But yeah, to know more about details about when potentially you can get the platform token, Noom, just stay following along with Twitter and things like that so you can stay up to date about when that may become available. I would say in all likelihood it's the same time as the crowd loans, because that's how most people will get the Noom. So that's, I think, the main answer to give there. Yeah, I guess that's all the questions at the moment, right?
Looks like it's a wrap, I think. I don't see any other questions that have popped up. So, yes, guys. So, yes, anything other to add there, Gardi or Shannon?
I think Shannon, was anything you want to add?
I'm always interested to add more.
Can I just mention one thing? And I know that we'll probably touch on it in other webinars, but you touched on the Continuum, and I think maybe if we could just end our webinar just talking a little bit about what that is and what makes that so special.
Yep. That was some of the parts that I wanted to cover as well. I know potentially going a little bit over time. So definitely, if you're in a situation where you need to head off and do other things, you can always come back and check out the recording. But otherwise, yeah, let me just share a little bit more just quickly with everything. I have my method and my approach that I would like to follow. So let me just quickly get into this for everyone.
That's awesome. Thanks, Shannon.
Yep, all good. So if you check out, again, this is the BitCountry website. You can see a few of the different videos. You'll be able to watch them all here if you're interested in seeing more about that. You can see a little bit about the roadmap. Here you can find the early access form where you can sign up so that you can potentially get in a little bit earlier when things open up. But otherwise, yeah, look forward to having people jump in. You can see a little bit about our team here. Got a lot of great people working away on the project and quite a few others that you can't see on the slide at the moment. You can see a little bit about our background in terms of some of the achievements that have been done so far and some of the background of the team. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the many different backers working with us, and Gardi already shared a little bit about that as well. So let me just now jump over to the Continuum impression for you all. And then, yeah, I technically still have more that I wanted to show, but we might just wrap up at this stage. So let me just get this ready for you all. You should be looking at a video. Let me play this. The sound should be on. If not, you can just quickly let me know, but I'll let you listen to this now. All right. Yeah, so that was an impression of the Continuum. The Continuum is a place where you can get yourself put into kind of like a global map where everyone can see your relation to other metaverses. It's where your metaverse will connect into the rest of kind of the whole, Continuum, where everyone fits together. Do you want to add something, Gardi?
Yeah, the mothership of the metaverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's asking where to find this video for the people who could not attend or missed it. It'll be on the recording. So you'll be able to watch it there. They'll be able to watch it there. So you'll get the recording, so you'll be able to watch it, everybody. Okay. So anything else, Shannon?
I've decided I'm still going to share this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to, of course, get you the right kind of picture with the whole thing. So here's some examples of the app as it stands at the moment. You can see, of course, in the bottom right, that's some screenshots taken from in the world as it is in the current stage of development. So it does have many different styles. With this particular metaverse that you would be seeing would be the Genesis metaverse that we have on BitCountry. The theme is kind of a little bit more like sci-fi or cyberpunk in its behavior. In the future, you'll be able to configure that to your own kind of liking. So it could be a completely different style in terms of how you do it for yourself. But yeah, this is kind of just showing off a little bit what is BitCountry about, kind of what are the features available. I guess we can just quickly pop through these slides. You already saw this on the homepage, where you can see a little bit more details about what the platform is about. Again, the BitCountry in terms of the target and things like that, you can say that to a great degree it's about people who are running a community, or maybe you have your own kind of community, non-for-profit or organization or influencer or whatever the case may be. It's an opportunity for you to create this kind of virtual space, this world that has a style, and allow people to kind of get involved in it so that they can have a space inside your world and become part of the ecosystem, you could say. Touching a little bit on the user-created games, that could be another opportunity. That's one thing I wanted to make sure I touch on before we wrap up, is of course the opportunities from the metaverse. Why should you care about the metaverse? There's a lot of new opportunities coming up. So similar to when the web came into existence, when Web 2.0 started, it's a new market. It's a new place where there's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to get involved. So if you happen to be a 3D modeler, you could potentially find that this is now a great place where you can create your 3D content and sell it for other people to use in the world. If you do textures, if you do art, there's an opportunity to promote that. If you happen to be more of a developer, why not create a game or experience that you can do inside the world? In BitCountry, that's something we really want to enable, is a lot of these different kind of opportunities for people, like the user-created games and things, and having the marketplace. So quickly, having a look through the points of difference, I won't necessarily go through and list them all or anything like that. You can kind of see that for yourself. But yeah, we have our own blockchain. You can get involved in it. There's a lot of opportunities. If you're interested to see about what kind of opportunities exist in the metaverse that is coming up that you can take advantage of, definitely check out the Metaverse Career Academy that BitCountry is also kind of involved with. And yeah, otherwise, follow us on Twitter. That's how you'll stay up to date with everything. And I look forward to seeing how everyone feels about the whole thing. With the future webinars that are coming up, I'm sure Karla will share a little bit more about what the topic's going to be. But otherwise, yeah, I think that's everything from my side. Sorry for going a little bit over time. Hopefully you all found it useful and meaningful to learn about.
No, that was amazing. Thanks so much for sharing that. I think you actually touched on a few questions, because I'm just looking back on the Ask a Question tab now, and we did have some more questions that popped up. So just bear with me as we'll fly through these. What kind of tech skills will be required to build a BitCountry? Yeah, I was late. Perhaps this was explained. What kind of tech skills?
Okay. What kind of tech skills? So in terms of building a BitCountry, I guess it depends on exactly what kind of way you mean building. So if you are creating your own metaverse inside BitCountry, then you don't necessarily have to be that technically savvy. As long as you're able to register an account, maybe deal a little bit with some blockchain stuff, you should be able to get into creating your own metaverse. And then you're just going through the interface. If you talk about building in terms of building out the environment or the landscape, that experience is also quite straightforward and simple. Once you get into the world, you pretty much point your mouse in a direction that you want to start building things. You can select which style of block or material you want to put down, and then you can just start placing it. The goal is to make sure that it's fairly straightforward for people to get involved. It's something that we'll always be kind of looking at and improving to see if we can make it easier for people, but it shouldn't really require too much in the way of technical. So it's kind of two parts, but we want to try and make it easy for people to get on board. If you mean building as an experiences, then you'll need to have more understanding of blockchain and more understanding of programming and things like that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Shannon. Another one it's asking, this is Lee Dohui. How stable when developing the games or dApps with API?
Okay. How How stable when developing the games with DX with API? I'm not 100% sure exactly the question. Hopefully I will be answering it in the way that you intended. So when we're developing out the API, it will definitely be in making sure that we have something that's easy for people to kind of get used to, or that they can interact with, enabling a degree of freedom. Of course, we want to make sure that if you're someone who's creating experiences and games, that you can kind of achieve what you're after. It will be something that we will build on as time goes by in terms of what we allow people to do. Some of it will involve, when you're creating experiences, doing smart contracts, so that you can reward people and get involved in that whole part, really take advantage of decentralization and blockchain. It will be a goal to keep it stable, the API in terms of the interface or the contract that you're working with. But yeah, I think that will be fairly similar to when you're developing with other platforms and other SDKs and such. We will try to keep it stable. We'll try to keep things without breaking changes. But I guess every now and then those things do come up, but we'll have a process for kind of handling migrations and such. So hopefully that answers your question. And
that's awesome. Thanks, Shannon.
I mentioned something quickly. I'll just repeat it. I would know we did mention it previously, but about building out your metaverse, we also do have the Metaverse Career Academy. So for anyone who's interested in a career within this field, I really recommend that you check it out. We will have details later on that will follow, but check it out. You know, this is a very interesting field to go into, and it's just, you know, it's just booming right now. So definitely look at the Metaverse Career Academy.
Yeah, awesome, Gardi. Thanks for putting that out there again. I have put the link in here, everyone, for the Metaverse Career Academy. So that'll be launching this year, but I can't tell you the date just yet. But check it out. I put the link in the comments and have a look through there. Okay. So just one more question. Now, where was that question? Okay, one more question, and I hope I actually pronounced this right. May I have an example of how the Canaria Birds will be used within the BitCountry Metaverse, please? It's from Learn and Share.
Okay, yep. So I guess that's related to the bird from Kusama, in terms of Kusama and Polkadot and the blockchain and things like that. So we will be looking at integrating elements from Kusama and Polkadot into our metaverse, so that you'll be able to see it as kind of design hints and elements and things like that within the world. In terms of maybe other effects, for now, that's mainly just going to be for decorative purposes, sharing a little bit more, helping people to learn a bit more about Kusama and Polkadot and kind of the technologies that are being used. We really want to help build up the ecosystem, help to get everyone involved and see the benefits of kind of blockchain and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that hopefully kind of answers your question.
Great. One question here. Do we need to have coding IT background to join the program? So I take it they're talking about the Metaverse Career Academy.
I think so.
Yes, you'd need to have some background. You need to have a passion for that side of things and blockchain. And if you pop on to, like I said, the Metaverse Career Academy website that I popped into the comments, you'll be able to see exactly what you need to be able to undertake the whole program. Okay, so do pop on there. I'll put it up there again so that right now you've got it there, and boom. Okay, so that is, do we need, okay, let me just, one more, oh no, hold on, let's have a look, we're popping in here. What smart contract platform will be used?
Okay, all right, yep, sure, I understand. So when you're dealing with smart contracts and things like that with BitCountry, you'll be dealing with our platform. So as we mentioned on the website, if I just really, really quickly jump over to that again, and let's scroll back up to the top. So EVM compatible network. So we support Solidity. So if you happen to already have smart contracts or any existing functionality that you've developed, you'll be able to more easily bring it over to our network so that everything can kind of interact together. That's the main way that you'll be dealing with the smart contract platform with regard to BitCountry. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, Shannon. Fantastic, everyone. So that is a wrap. I hope you've all enjoyed this informative BitCountry Metaverse crowdcast, everyone. You will be getting in your email an email from Gardi with a questionnaire. We'd love you to fill that out, and it's only going to take a couple of minutes. It's a bit of feedback. It's a bit of where you're at. We want to know how we can help you and serve you best. So that'll pop through to you within about 10 minutes. And if you've got any questions about the plate, etc., you can also contact Gardi at her email address. That will be in the email that pops through to you. Okay. So thank you, Shannon and Gardi, for joining us and sharing all this knowledge. It was awesome. Absolutely loved it. I'm sure a lot of people here, we've had some amazing comments. They are really excited here. And thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, everyone that's come on live. Wonderful. So we look forward to you joining us again. Like I said, we're going to have some more webinars on BitCountry Metaverse. And we're looking at running these crowdcasts, okay, every Thursday. So keep an eye out on the Twitter. We've put that into the comments as well. And we'll be telling you exactly what the topic is and everything. So register there and pop in and join us next Thursday. And we look forward to seeing you then. Awesome. See you, everyone.
Cool.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Thanks. Bye.